Hey everyone, I'm Dakota,
And I'm Val.
and you're listening to.
That's just it. Hey, Cody.
Hello, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to kick 23 in the butt.
Oh, good. I like that. You are 23, so that's exciting. Is that
Oh my gosh, yes, this is my.
this
What
is
is
your
that?
champagne episode?
Champagne episode. That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to go for.
As I always was kind of like bummed because I'm born on March 7th, so like my champagne birthday, I didn't really remember. So
I was born on the 2nd,
yeah,
so
okay,
I
you win.
definitely don't remember.
I'll stop complaining. How was your week going?
It's going good. I'm super busy right now, which I like because what else is there to do other than work and relax? So
Yeah. But like, are you like challenged with the busy? Do you feel like no, you're
it's just
happy
like a
with it?
nice change because it's been quite slow with Corona and everything in the past. So it's nice to
Corona.
be
Yeah.
coronavirus. It's nice
Yes.
to be back and working and getting things done and feeling productive.
I definitely feel you on that wave though. Like it's been a crazy week. I've literally been at my desk all day today. I filled the garbage bag with stuff I didn't need behind me, but it's been a work from home day. Really hunker down.
Well, look at that. That leads excellently into our topic this week.
It does. Look at that. Look at that
And we didn't even
segue.
plan that.
No, it was just me going off on my little rant. Yes, so this week we wanted to talk to everyone about working from home, the pros and the cons, and some tips that we've heard. Quick one right off the hop. I heard this last week from a client is that they go and they have to put shoes on to go to like to get into like the working frame of mind. They put shoes on, then they take them off when they're in their home office. I do not have that, but I thought it was an interesting like approach to it.
Right. I've definitely heard that before too. Or like, getting dressed in professional clothing or your uniform or
Yes,
whatever you would wear to work.
which we definitely
Um,
have done today. Look at these sweaters.
Yes,
Ooh.
I'm in a full tracksuit today. I'm
Oh my
ready to
gosh.
kick.
Two
I'm ready to
piece
go.
23, here we come.
Yeah, literally. That's the best part of this podcast that we don't need to dress up for it. So that's
Yeah. Yes.
okay.
And that's something that like that doesn't like for you, does that apply that you need to be dressed up for productivity to happen?
No, I can usually force myself to be productive anywhere. Like sometimes I even work from my bed, which I know a lot of people are like, no, you can't do
Hmm.
that. You have to like be in a separate space. I think it definitely helps to be in a separate space, and it might even help me to get dressed or try putting shoes on. But it's not something that I find that I need right now. But
You also have an entire room for work, correct?
correct, yeah, I have my home office here.
Yes. So I find like that for me, I was in the basement up until a few months ago, and that made a huge difference. Like now I'm in an office upstairs, like, and it's made a huge difference because the laundry room's not right there. Like people can't walk through. Um, so I've found I don't know whether it's having somewhere to close a door or just like my own space has made a huge difference.
Right. Which is why I'm excited to talk about this week's topic because I think
Hmm.
throughout the past year, and I think even more so right now and going forward, as more businesses begin to close and more people are, kind of
Yes.
forced to work from home, um, it's really relevant to a lot of people's lives. So I'm
Yeah.
super excited to, throw some tips at you guys. I've done a lot of research into this to see, what are the best practices. It'll be nice for us too, because I think, we're going to say a lot of best practices that maybe we could learn to follow,
Yeah. It's like
or that
that
could help us
practice
out.
or yeah, preaching to the choir. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, 100%. Like for you, do you set like a time when you like time blocking for work, for emails, for that type of thing?
Yeah, I do. So I have a full schedule that I like to make. I usually make it every Monday morning. I time block about an hour or two Monday mornings
Hmm.
to schedule out my week. I just find that if I don't schedule out or time block, I'm either doing nothing or I'm doing way too much.
Or you're
Um,
like putting out little fires. Like I feel like today I answered too many emails when I should have just like left them till one time. Because then I was like, do this, but then do that, do this, but then do that, and going back and forth too much.
Right. Because I'll be doing something else, like I'll be, looking for houses or whatever online, and then I'll be like, oh, I forgot to reply to that email. Suddenly I'm
Yes.
in my email and then I see like 3 other emails I have to reply to, and then an hour's gone by and what I was
Yeah,
trying to get done did not get done. Um,
that's totally
yes.
what I did today. Like it was productive enough, but it could have been way like if I had streamlined it, it could have been way more productive. So time blocking for things like emails, for things like social media, for things like paperwork, filing. I don't know if that's something you have to do, or like even your bookkeeping, right? Like what did I
Yeah.
spend? Yeah, like putting
Every
aside chunks of time, even bringing like your personal life into it, like your errands, or if you know that like you need to walk your dogs, put that in there.
Right. Yeah. I even schedule like, my breaks throughout the day as well. I try
Mm-hmm.
to stick
Do
to
you
them as
take
much as
them?
possible. Um, no, I find usually I'm like, okay, I have a break scheduled for 2:30 for, 20 minutes, half an hour, but then I get so into whatever I'm doing. And then suddenly it's 2:45 and I'm like, well, I'm
Yes.
not going to take a 15-minute break. So I'll just, leave work earlier today and
Mm-hmm.
make up for that time. And then it's 8 p.m. and
Or like a phone call comes in, right? And then you're like all of a sudden it's like whatever you were doing, it's now diverted there. So sometimes I like feel guilty, but I have no problem like letting it go to voicemail and then I'll get it later when I'm like ready to take that call.
yeah, and same thing with emails or even text messages too. Like I feel so
Mm-hmm.
obligated as soon as they come in, especially if you're working from home. Um,
Yes.
because even at night, like a lot of clients that I work with, they have their 9 to 5 jobs. So most of the time we're communicating is, out of those regular work hours.
Yeah.
And I need to teach myself that, what, it's okay to wait until 9 a.m. tomorrow or whenever I start my day tomorrow to reply to
Yes.
that email or reply to that text or give them a call back. So yeah, I think time blocking and scheduling is arguably the most important thing you can do
Mm-hmm.
working from home.
Also
Um,
like well, and part of that time blocking, but like no screen time, like maybe like from 9 till 9, trying not to be on your screens or your phones. Like I try to do that because I know like last night I just went to plug my phone in and I saw an email from a client and then I was thinking about it for like an hour. And I was like, you
yes,
can't reply to it, but I was like, no, it's okay. Like just leave it. Just leave it.
100%. And it's so hard, like for you and I, because a lot of our work is either on our laptop or on our phone or like on some sort of screen. So it's so
Yes.
hard to,
It's
you know,
easily accessible
exactly. That's
and
exact.
hard to put down.
That's just it.
That's
So
just it.
easily accessible. Wow, that's a hard word to say. Um,
Accessible.
Yes. Another thing that I have found, I
Mm-hmm.
only live with one other person, but especially, for younger people or students who are living with their family or groups, I like to set boundaries for the people that I'm living with, because if I don't, then, Ryan will just walk in and be like, hey, what are you doing? And then suddenly that like, just 2 minute
Yes.
check-in is half an hour of us talking about our
Yes.
days. And then everything that I was supposed to get done, I'm
Does not get
suddenly
done.
behind. Yeah. Which is great when you have a home office like I do. Like I literally just say like I'm going into work.
Yeah.
Talk to you in a bit whenever I, I have time, but like please don't just come in or let the dogs in or whatever, because then I get distracted. And I know
Yes.
for me, but I bet it'd be hard if you didn't have a home office, if you were working in a main area
Oh yeah.
or
Like when I worked at the kitchen table, it was so hard to be like, I'm just gonna leave those dishes. I'd be like, okay, I'll just do those, and then I'll just do that. And yeah, like the interruptions come, someone stops in. Yeah.
yeah. So setting boundaries for your space and for
Hmm.
yourself as well, whether that be just like if you're working from the kitchen, just let everyone who's around know that you're working,
Yeah.
and that you're not available to take personal chats. Um,
Yes.
but I also, on the flip side, I think it's also important to forgive yourself and not hold yourself to like 100%.
Yeah, yeah, like you're not gonna let like you will set yourself up for failure if you try to time block every single thing. Like you like leave open space, leave time where like yeah, I can do paperwork, but it's not I don't need to do it. So if I go and I walk my dog or if I go out and talk to my family in the kitchen, I'm fine either way. Like yes, have
Right.
your
And
like go ahead, sorry.
it's absolutely okay for you to fall behind, or, you take that personal phone call or
Hmm.
whatever it may be. Um, those things are okay and can even be productive throughout the day, but it becomes a problem when you're not focusing on your work at all. If you're just, taking those phone calls, or if you're just your work hours, if you schedule 5 hours of work and that 5 hours is you sitting on your phone or you sitting talking to your roommate or whatever it may be,
Yes.
then nothing's getting done.
Right. And but it is so easy to just like do whatever you want to, right? Like I find like now, especially with like Grant's going to be home from school 2 or 3 days a week. to do online schooling, like I need to make sure that the time that I am working is like that much more focused. Now, have you ever looked into like, this is a little off topic, but when you're the most focused, like you do the best work? I've been reading a lot lately. It's like the first 3 hours of the day. So it's like first thing in the morning, or there's the book, The 4 Hour Work Week. Have you like heard anything about
Yes,
those?
yes, I have definitely. I like this
Yes.
topic is really interesting to me because
Yes.
I feel like I don't fit into it as like I feel like it's so like you said, a lot of people say like the first couple hours you're awake are your most productive.
Hmm.
For me, I don't feel that, but it might just be like me in my head blocking myself, saying like, you know what, I don't want to work when I first wake up,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's why
yeah.
I think. Um,
Oh, I see. Are you like a night owl? Like you like work from like 12 till 3 and just rock it?
I don't work as much at night because I do other things, but like I definitely am a night owl and I stay awake really late.
Yeah.
And I think I am productive at night just with other things, not so much my actual career.
Back in your mic. Okay. Okay. So then what about like theories like the 4 hour work week, or like, because I think there is um merit to things being done when you have the right energy. Like if I try to fold laundry when I don't want to fold laundry versus if I'm excited to fold laundry, like it takes way different amounts of time. Like because
Yes.
I'll leave and I'll come back and I'll leave and I'll come back. So I think that's the same with work activities like paperwork or calling clients. Like there's certain times that are definitely optimal to do certain tasks.
But I think the issue I have with that is trying to predict when those times are, because for me, my
Mm-hmm.
productivity fluctuates so much. Like for example, yesterday we were just doing like a spring cleaning and I was like super super into it and I was like, yes, like let's clean our entire apartment. It's going to be great. And then we did it for like an hour and a half and then I was sitting there and I was, transplanting plants or something and I was like, I do not want to do this anymore. Like this was fun, but I'm over it.
I know what you mean, but it's yeah. So like you get all fired up, and it was good for that spurt, but then you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. Yes, and that's it's. I think as humans we cycle. Like there's times where I'm like really on top of housework or like really on top of client emails. There's times where I'm like it's either pushing me or I'm pushing it. Like it's like I'm like really on top of it. I've got it, or it's like push like it's overwhelming me. So I want to find a way to balance it, like be more consistent, but also I don't know. Like, do you see what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, yeah, and I understand. And it's hard to like, for me too, like I struggle focusing on one thing for a long period of time. So I'm
Hmm.
trying to find that balance between like, okay, I'm really excited to call people and do some prospecting, but then when I'm done, I'm done. And then I just need to
Yes.
switch it out and do something else. So maybe I'm excited to do some social media content or, plan whatever it is. Um, but I struggle with once I get tired of doing one task, I'm like, oh, I don't want to start another task. Does
Like
that make
you
sense?
burn yourself out, so then you don't even want to do anything. Like you're below empty. Yeah, I totally see. Like I see what you're saying, and I think part of that is like cushioning those tasks, like really having like a hard stop. Like I'm calling people for an hour and then I'm done, and then I can go whatever, like a 15, 20, 30 minute break, whatever it is for you. Like whether it's I'm literally gonna go lay in bed, I'm gonna go walk the dogs, like kind of like that reward. Actually, I read something today. It's like the problem with we get burnt out because rest isn't seen as a necessity, it's seen as a reward, which I guess I just said that there. So maybe not quite that, but that's true with burnout is like if you say you wanted to nap in the middle of your day, you're like, I'm just exhausted. Even if you had sold 3 homes that week, I feel like you'd feel a bit guilty,
Yes,
right?
correct.
Yeah. So I think it's so interesting that like no matter how successful we are, we still like ridicule ourselves for trying to take care of ourselves
And
and
I think
like
that's
and
just
like listening to
go
our
ahead.
bodies. Well,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like right.
I think it's just society telling us what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing, and less, us listening to ourselves and
Yeah.
figuring out what we actually need. And I think this whole thing goes back to kind of getting to know yourself because I find
Hmm.
that, I can do one task for a certain amount of time or a rough certain amount of time. And then consistently I get tired of doing that task. So it's getting to know yourself and like, hey, I can do phone calls for an hour and then that's it. Like I burn out after an
Yes.
hour.
That's yeah.
That
That's
way,
such a good point.
yeah, scheduling that into my week going forward, I can be like, okay, this day I can do calls for an hour. But as soon as I try and make myself do it for 2 hours, my phone calls go like, hey, what's up? Like, do you
Yeah.
want to buy a house?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yes, I totally see what you mean. Like the energy drops off. And you're right, that's part of like being in touch with yourself, like I don't like that term, but like getting to know yourself and like monitoring what you do and where you do best. Like this morning, I started organizing my office, and I was like, I'm gonna do it early. It was like 5 o'clock, then it was 6 o'clock, and then I started at 7 o'clock this morning, and it went well. But it, like, definitely by the end of it, I was like, where did I set that? Where did I put that? Like, so capitalizing on the energetic times that you have.
Right. And like understanding it's okay to get through when you're doing a task and you no longer want to do it, you're ready for it to be over. Schedule a time tomorrow, another hour tomorrow to get more of that task done.
Yes. And I think what I heard, it was a really cool podcast. But they had talked about it was like, you're not going to always love everything that you do. Like I don't know, like paperwork. I don't love it. I could have an assistant that did it, but I love like the outcome. Like I got to help a family set up an RESP for their child. Like it'll be cool in 15 years when they're ready for university. I'm like, look what they saved for you. But doing the paperwork today, I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's sometimes like bringing it back out and remembering your why.
Yes. I think we got a little off topic there, but I
loved every minute of it, but we are.
I feel like that happens every week, but it's good.
But yes, okay. Working from home.
Going back to effective ways to work from home. Another thing I want to talk about is remembering to keep yourself social and to socialize, especially with colleagues or peers. For example, us doing this podcast, I think is a great way for us to, trade ideas and talk and get out there and socialize. But working from home, especially in jobs where, you're so used to socializing, like real estate, when you're constantly talking to other people, it gets really lonely and gets really isolating here. So I try to reach out to, another agent at the brokerage at least once a week and just be like, hey, just emailing you today to check in. How are you doing? How's sales? How's everything going? And then showing up for like virtual meetings and like office meetings we do every week. Sometimes I find myself dreading those. So I'm like, I have to put on clothes. I have to turn my camera on. And then I have to listen. But I miss it when I don't go to those things because it makes me feel productive. Right. It makes me that social battery drain a little bit, which is good.
Yeah. But it like fills a certain part of you too, which is important because we can't. Yeah. Again, I think I felt that this morning. I was like, it is kind of lonely, but it's like, I get if you're not connecting with people that are also in your industry in that sense, like in the same boat, then it's tough to truly feel understood.
Right. Exactly. So socialize, talk to people, even if it's just a quick email, a quick text, like thinking about you today. As dumb as that sounds, but
I didn't get a text from you today, so that's weird.
You got several texts from me today. I feel like I text you every single day.
I love it. No, you're right. Yeah, and that's what I think with working from home. It is important to stay connected. Although we can't go get coffees and such with people or even go for walks with people right now, still stay connected. There's really social media came at the perfect time of evolution. Maybe not like in full, but
I get what you're saying in general,
right. Like if it were, I don't know how many years ago, but we would be writing letters to one another or picking up the phone and calling one another. Like it's expanded so vastly. And with every good, there's bad. And with anything in excess, there can be negatives, but use it as a tool to keep you connected, keep you like sane, and like start a group. If you're a single mom, or I don't know, that was just my example. If you're a single mom with kids at home homeschooling, start a group where you can hop on there on Thursday nights with a glass of wine and just connect with like-minded people that are not to create more negative energy, but maybe to provide solutions for one another, or just to connect, just to be like, hi.
And just to talk it out. Like I cannot imagine being a single mother in these times when you can't, rely on your friends or family to help you with everything. It'd be crazy.
Yes. Yeah. Like just to talk it out, just to be like, to have a safe space to connect with people that get what you're going through.
Also, I can't stop thinking about what life would be like if we were going through this pandemic ever since you said this, like 100 years ago. Imagine being stuck at home with no access to even like your family or your friends. Like my parents live an hour car ride away, like with my brother and my sister. So like imagine it being a year and a half with just letters back and forth to them.
Letters and like, I don't know, like say you Like I'm trying to think of like employment. Say maybe you work on the farm, maybe you are an accountant, but people just like mail you their paperwork. Like, I don't know, as an example. Like you still have that purpose, but so like socially, whew, it is not looking good.
Yeah,
But
we talk about how bad it is right now, but it's a positive note to look at and kind of be thankful that even though we are so
yeah,
separate.
we have some really great tools that keep us together.
Exactly. I love that little wink. Okay. Another thing that I want to talk about is setting boundaries with, when you're not feeling it or taking sick days in
Like,
general.
yeah, but like also monitoring yourself with those. Because
Yes.
when was the last time like when I worked at the bank, if I was sick, you got a sick day. You didn't think about work, you didn't talk about work, you just stayed home and rested. But it's different when you don't have like a brick and mortar to show up to. Like you have access to all of your work and no one says like no one's there to guilt trip you to come in or to not come in.
Right. And even, when I'm not feeling well in the past year and I am taking a sick day and, my sick day is laying in bed with my laptop and my phone still working.
Yeah, exactly. I had a migraine yesterday, so I moved a client meeting, but I still did work. It wasn't like, okay, I'm done for the day. It was like, okay, I'm gonna, but again, probably back to productivity. I probably should have just rested and been like, okay, I need to refill before I try to go again. Cause right now I'm like running on empty. So whatever I did probably could have been done in half the amount of time, but it took so long because I was so like depleted, um, or not in my most optimal functioning prime. If it feels
Right.
better there. Yes.
And a similar note to that as well, and something I just kind of thought of is, days off, like the weekend, usually, maybe not in our industry because what is a day off? Clients want to talk
Really.
to us all the time.
All the time. Yes.
But I
I
don't
do my
remember.
best to not reply on Sundays though.
Me
That
too.
is,
Yes, I
yeah.
do. I do try, but that never really works out. I don't remember the last day where I just, had a full 24 hours without opening my email or checking my phone or,
Mm,
realtor.ca or Matrix or whatever it is. Like I'm always on there and I'm
yeah.
always, even when I'm taking a day off or not working, I'm still looking at the market, seeing what happened and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, especially if we're going to be like this for a while, because with the way things are going, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I literally have no idea. I can't
There's a
even
lot of
predict.
uncertainties. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
there's a chance we could be stuck in this lockdown for months to come. And I think we'll see a lot more people begin to burn out and a lot more people begin to um, lose productivity
Yeah.
because it's so impossible to take a day off or take a sick day or
Hmm.
set yourself away from your work when you live with your work.
When you are one with your work. Yes, I would absolutely agree. And I think that it's a little scary because say whether you're working from home or like even nurses just popped into mind, like it's a lot going on in the world right now. But to keep those boundaries, those things that you do that still light you up, like have those non-negotiables. And I mean, like you and I both have dogs, we love our dogs, but it's a non-negotiable because we have to walk them for them. But like for me, it's also like I need that walk. Like
Yeah, same.
I
It's a
need
non-negotiable for
like
me
I
as
probably
well.
need the walk more than the dogs, but have the things that keep you rooted to yourself because I think it's so easy to just get like caught up and beat down by like the emails and the calls and the homeschooling and also like running a house and then the pandemic and am I being safe or and not seeing family. Like it's so much.
There is. I love that point. There's so much, we talk about all these things individually, like working from home and dealing with the pandemic and not seeing family and not
Mhm.
seeing our friends and stuff. But when you think about it and you combine all those things at once, it's a wonder that most of us are still standing and not
It's a very
crying.
holistic because everything's connected, right? Like the whole holistic view of it is living and parts of life. But I also want to preface that with saying like I don't want like us to just be getting through our days. Like I want it to be you're finding the joy in the journey and you're doing things that get you excited and like you said like being knowing when your energy's good and when to stop. Hmm.
I wonder if, if and when the world ever goes back to its old normal, and that's a big if and when,
Yeah.
um, I wonder if it'll be easier for us to enjoy our everyday life because, we're not so used to getting to be able to just leave our
Oh,
house and do things
yeah.
so freely. So I wonder if that'll happen and how long it'll last before we go back to being like, I have to drive to work or I
Right.
have to go
It's
to this party.
oh yeah, that's like vacation when you're so excited for it and then you get it and then you're like, "Oh, back to work." Like it's like, yeah. When we stop being grateful for the things that we were once wishing we had so bad.
Right. And like
Hmm.
all the time, I'm thinking back to when I was working, especially at a place where I didn't like my job or old jobs I didn't like, and how much I thought, I wish I could just stay home every day and work from home and how great life would be. And here I am a year into it, and I'm like, I don't want to work from home anymore. I want to go out.
Right. Hmm. And that's where I hope that like people have the opportunity to do like to figure out what lights them up and then to plug into that. Like for you, maybe it's working from home 2 days a week and 3 days a week is in the office, and maybe you'll have that option. Or for some people, maybe they're like, yeah, I'm done with the Toronto GTA commute. I want to work from home in a cabin in Norfolk County. Then hopefully they have those options, right? Like I hope that the world expands and gets creative with their industries, with their positions, that we can have those things happening. And so people are balancing their mental health and their physical health and like their career and all of those things coming together. Hmm.
Right. The pandemic has allowed us to see both sides of the spectrum because before the pandemic, everyone worked not from
It
home.
was
Well, not everyone, but most people worked at their
yeah.
work and they were there 40 plus hours a week. There was no boundaries, and you
And
lived to
you
work.
but you probably couldn't have even fathomed at that point saying, yeah, 80% of the workforce is going to work from home next month. And they'd be like, no, that's not possible. I need to be here. I need to be here. And it's like, and now it's changed. So but it's like, what else is possible?
Right. And then now we're on the other side of the spectrum where everyone is working from home,
Yes.
to the point where people are tired of working from home and want to get out and be social. So I think, if and when the pandemic mellows out and everyone's vaccinated and, we have a little bit more of a normal society, um, what?
I was just thinking, I was like, I don't leave the house. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, literally. But I'm excited to see if society and if people can find that happy medium where they
Hmm.
they find the balance between work and personal life and striving for success both in their personal and business and work life.
Yeah. And yes, exactly. The harmony between it all. Hmm.
Yes. And that being said, I think right now, when we're stuck at home and we have to work at home, it's very easy to hope for the future and wish for the future and, get excited about leaving the house and stuff,
Yeah.
to the point where we're not appreciating what we have right now. And I'm not saying like that life is great right now, nothing horrible is happening. But I look
Right.
over like the little perks, like, I get to work from my bed if I want to. Like, I
You
don't
get to drink
appreciate that
iced
anymore.
coffee that you made. Like that's just it. Right. Like but those are those things that it's like we can talk about the future or the new normal or getting back to normal, but ultimately if we are miserable for the whole damn hike and we get to the top of the mountain, we're not going to be like, "Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I'm so glad." Like enjoy the journey. Enjoy it as best as you can.
Exactly. Think about those little perks that you are experiencing right now because you're going to miss them one day more than likely.
Hmm.
So I try to remind myself that, what, like working for me right now is sitting in my sweatpants in my home, sending emails. Like that's
Yeah, and it's like
what more could I ask for?
this is the safest thing I can do. Yeah, right. And I think that's bringing it back to the working from home. Like it's for everyone, it's going to be different, but pay attention to what makes you feel the most productive. So if it's having a lunch break, if it's having like a really structured schedule, if it's having your shoes on, having professional clothes on, if it's, having a sign on your front door that says do not knock, do not enter until 4 p.m., if you can have those types of things, or on your office door, right? Like just put in those boundaries so people understand that you are a business. You are a business. Yes, you work from home, but then also give yourself the grace when you're like, okay, I just want to go sit out back right now, or I just want to go make a pot of coffee and sit alone right now. Like have the balance.
Right. And then I also think one final thought before we wrap it up here. It's very easy right now to get sucked into the news and to get sucked into the pandemic as
Mm.
a whole. Like I see people on the town that we're from always posting on that page, all these negative things like this is what
Yes.
the happening with the pandemic today. This is what Doug Ford said today. Like 24/7, like that's their
Mhm.
whole life is worrying about the pandemic. And I think it's important to definitely stay educated. I know it's important to stay educated and stay up to date with the pandemic. But I hate to see it take over people's lives. And I hate to see, sometimes I even get into a rabbit hole when I'm
Yes.
sitting at work and I get an email saying, did you see the numbers today or whatever? And then suddenly I'm 18 articles in the rabbit hole and I'm like, holy crap, this
Yeah.
world is ending.
Yeah. Like stay educated, but don't become engorged in it.
Oh, I love the word engorged.
Yeah, that's how I describe ticks when they're on my dogs.
Engorged.
I wanted it to be an E word in educated, but don't become. There's another word.
It might be engorged. I don't know.
It's engorged. I think it's probably engorged. That's just it.
Is. Anyways, yeah, it's super easy to let that take over your life. And suddenly I've read way too many articles and I don't want to work because I think the world's ending in 2 days. So
right. Yes. Yes. So do your best to like keep your mindset positive. And if you have those days where you're like breaking down or a little bit in the dumps, like give yourself that grace too. It's okay. It is okay. That it's okay that every day is not okay.
Yes. And sick days aren't just for physical health, mental health, take a mental health day.
Yeah.
I did it all the time in high school. Val did it all the time in high school.
I do okay. Miss, yes. I see, but then I shouldn't miss those days, right? Like I should recreate those days if I need them here.
But I think there's a difference between, having a mental health day or having a sick day from high school and having a mental health day from work.
100%. But similar results, like the time alone. People would be texting me asking where I was, but
I wish I could go back and just see how many texts we sent each other saying, "Are you coming to school today?"
Yeah. And I wish that if I ever had a reaction that wasn't anything but that's good, take care of you, I would say that versus like okay or like I don't know, I don't think I ever responded like that, but I hope I didn't guilt too many people, too much social
me
guilt.
too. I feel like maybe I did, but like thinking back, like we had a friend group of how many people.
Yeah.
Obviously we'd miss someone, but it's not like we were gonna be alone all day.
Right. It wasn't like, oh no, that one person. But I think it was also from like you had people that you were not favorites, but like when your person wasn't there, like if you weren't there,
you're closer with, yeah.
Yeah, like who am I? What? I mean, there was anyways.
You suddenly have to join another duo, and you're just that awkward third wheel.
Right. You're like, hey guys, can I latch on for the day?
Yep.
Yes.
We should have just planned out our days better and not went on the same days.
Taken the same days. Oh yeah.
Yeah. We said the same thing, just in different words.
We're on a roll today.
We really are. All right. Any other tips that you have for working from home other than just doing your best? That's all you can do.
Yeah, do your best. And what's the word? Delegate the things. Like grocery pickup is really great. If you're also in charge of keeping the house clean and meals, then say like Friday and Thursday I'm not cooking. That's on the other spouse. Like if you're not home alone. Yeah, but like do your best, keep your space and organize it in a way that keeps your sanity. And if there's something that you need to do at the beginning and the end of each day to make yourself feel like, okay, lock in and clock out, like do those things for you. No matter how weird they are, try different things. It's worth it to explore those things and see how you react with them.
Right. And one other thing too is one thing I've started doing is writing down exactly when I sit down and start work and then writing down when I leave work so that I can track how many hours I'm putting in each week. Because I found that before I was doing that, I was either putting in 5 hours a week or I was putting in like 60 to 70 hours a week without realizing.
Interesting. Huh. Yeah. So track yourself. Watch yourself.
You can just do it for a week or 2 weeks and just see how much work you're actually getting done and then adjust so that you're not overcommitting yourself or undercommitting yourself.
Yes. And I feel like one more thing, like it was interesting. I did my books for like 2019 and 2020. I made the same, but I worked far less in 2020, I would say. Maybe like less. I did more quality work in 2020. Because Grant was home and the pandemic and stuff. So I thought it was interesting to see that. I'm like, same outcome, but 2020 definitely felt like a better year in terms of how I use my time and energy.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
I should look at that.
I know it was very interesting for
once I'm
me.
a little further into my career. But yeah, that'll be
Yeah,
definitely, that's super interesting to see. And that must feel good as well.
it did. And because like at first I was like, oh, 2020 is not going to be as big of a year. And I'm like, oh, or good. And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool to see that. I wouldn't say that I worked part time because it wasn't like down to that, but it was definitely less with more, but more aligned with clients and just yeah. I mean, there was a few factors, but it was just cool to see that when you put your energy and the right tasks together, and if you really don't want to do something, don't do it. You're going to drag your feet through it. There's the odd thing that we have to do, but if you don't have to do it right then schedule at a time that feels better.
Amazing. I love that.
Amazing. That's just it.
Alrighty, guys, that is just
Alrighty.
it.
That is
That's all
just
we
it.
have for you this week. Make sure that you are following our social medias if you listen.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for all the support. As always, stay engorged, and we will see you next week.
Oh, there it is.
Everybody say engorged.
Oh, stop it. This is it's over now.
I hate that one so much, but I love it. All right, have a great week, guys.
Oh,